I'm not really sure why I bring notes. But I'm going to try to use it today. Leprosy is a terrible, terrible disease. I was introduced to leprosy at a distance, thank the Lord, in a microbiology class. So you probably took a microbiology class if you're in the health professions. There were two things that I remember learning a whole lot about. Now, I even remember my instructor's name. His name was Dr. Whitford. And he started every class with a joke. He had this file of jokes that he had acquired over his career. And some of them were really not very good jokes. But I remember that, and I also remember the fact that he was recognized as a specialist on a sexually transmitted disease. And the reason why was because he had served in Europe during World War II. And it was a problem. It was. But what I learned about these things is that there are some kinds of infections that you might be able to control, but you can't cure. But in those ancient days, in Jerusalem, it was one of the worst things that could happen to you, because what ended up happening was, as a result of your having leprosy, you were no longer an aristocrat if you had leprosy. You were a leper. And if you had leprosy, that meant that you were, in a way, exiled, kept at a distance from everybody else. There was this guy who was a king who had leprosy. And he heard about somebody who might be able to help him. And I have a picture of this guy in my mind, because I kind of replayed it. If that was me, what would I be thinking? And I had to be honest with myself. This guy showed up at the prophet's home, and he wasn't received by the prophet. So I had this is the kind of thought that would go through my mind. Why the heck did I waste my time coming here? This guy isn't even here to meet me. I deserve better than this. Wait a minute. I'm the guy with the leprosy. I can't help but think that that's the kind of thoughts that were going through this man's mind. There was a self-evident truth. The self-evident truth was that he had leprosy. And rather than being focused on being offended, this guy had some common sense, because he listened to his servants. When they said, you're being a fool. They probably didn't say it to him that way, but it had that effect on him. Because he rethought what he was doing and did what the prophet said, and he was cured. There's an interesting interplay between truth and faith in this passage and in the others. And I've had to think a lot about what that means. I'm always thinking about how much faith do I have? Is it adequate? How much faith do you have? Is it adequate for you? And I'm not happy with the level of faith that I have. I'm being honest here. I'm not happy with the level of faith that I have, because I know that in being a Christian, there is always more for me to learn about these things. But right now we're living in a world where truth is a big deal. Maybe. Depending on which side you're on. Gosh, isn't a truth no matter whose side you're on? Isn't it true that to hurt a child, that's a wrong thing, right? That's a truth. Treating people the way that you would like to be treated. The golden rule, we hear that as young people. But there's a truth there. The truth is that we benefit from being good to other people. Christ knew this. His whole life was about helping out, about helping the sick. He wasn't going out tossing golden Roman coins around, folks. He was healing people. He was healing the lepers. It's something that has resonated with my soul, the healing. These days, when I look at myself closely and I pay attention to what's going on inside, I'm feeling a stirring inside. And part of it has to do with faith. And part of it has to do with fear. And part of it has to do with anger. And this world we're living in evokes those kinds of responses from people. What we do with those stirrings is a really critical issue. And here I feel like I'm kind of speaking to the choir, literally. We have a sense of what's right and what's wrong. I have a sense, now after having been here for a while, I have a sense of what you believe to a degree. To the degree that you tell me or communicate it to me. And there are truths in that. As I was going through the internet, I didn't start exploring the internet when I became a deacon, trust me. I was thinking about my first Apple IIc earlier here today. And it was like a 10 megabyte hard drive, monochrome monitor. Boy, we were cats me out. There was something I saw on the internet, and I thought that I'd say it here. To have faith, must I be convinced that what I believe in is the truth? And if you disagree with me, must you be wrong? It bears thinking about. It really does. When Jesus healed the lepers, I can't help but focus on the word that was set aside from everything else. The guy was a Samaritan. He was a Samaritan. Now, by now, because we've talked about this a lot, I know I haven't, and Miguel has. Everybody knows what a Samaritan is, who's in here right now. And they weren't well liked by the Jews. So there's a message here. The message of Jesus is he didn't care if this guy was a Samaritan because there was a truth involved that all people are human beings and deserve to be treated like human beings no matter what. No matter who you are. People deserve to be treated like human beings. And now we're being challenged with major questions in this world, and we're struggling with them. And sometimes we're working on them. I'm not sure we're working on them the best way that we can. I'm from California. Don't hate me for that. It was an accident. Trust me. I was born there. My mom didn't think it was an accident, but I was born in California. But when I hear about the fires, having been through a major fire myself in California It tears my heart out because I know what those folks are going through. I have personal experience of that, of driving in and out of a disaster area where everything had burned. I was fortunate. My home didn't burn because we had terracotta tiles on top. We didn't choose those terracotta tiles on that house. We chose the house. But other folks in our community also had terracotta tiles, and their homes were served the same as well. But around us, the surrounding area around us, was total devastation, and everything burned. Every home, every car, everything. And so, there's a truth. The truth is that fires have gotten progressively worse in California. Now we got to start asking ourselves, why? I have faith in the fact that a fire like that can burn a house. There's a truth there. Do I also believe that Christ can heal a leper? I believe that Christ can heal a leper whether I have evidence of the truth in it or not. Because I believe in Jesus Christ. That changes everything, doesn't it? And some folks out there who are, the persuasion that there is no God would tell me how I was rationalizing this and rationalizing that. Yeah, and I'm grateful. Because it makes my life better to live. It truly does. But now, we're coming up on times in this country where our faith should be bathed in prayer. That's not my saying. That's one that I found. Faith should be bathed in prayer. That makes the whole thing so much more profound. Because then there's a thing that you can do. Pray and have faith at the same time. Amen.
Amen.